Hello, Abnormal Investigations. Good to see you guys. Got another one. This one is out of Missouri, out of the Ozarks. So I would imagine there could just about be anything in the Ozarks as well as anywhere else. I've been up in there a few times on vacation, and I could only imagine what could live in there. It's a pretty dense forest. And this one here, I believe, is something that a lot of people over in the Missouri area have seen. So I will go ahead and share this. It is from Daniel. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Hi, my name is Daniel, and this encounter took place during Easter weekend. It should be known that I am 19 and I'm no stranger when it comes to alcohol, but I only have a bottle or two, if offered, never enough to get drunk or not to know what I'm doing. My dad wanted to spend Easter with my grandmother, who lives by herself in a small cottage-like place in the Ozarks, in Missouri. The only things around her house are a few farms and a large forest. Whenever we visit my grandma, we would always go and she would tell us about the eerie noises that she hears coming from the forest at night. We got there late Saturday afternoon, and my dad and I shared a few drinks before we all headed off to go to bed. And we would have an egg hunt in the morning my grandma had planned for my niece and nephew. Around 1 in the morning, I woke up due to the call of nature, and I headed downstairs to use the bathroom. After I finished, I made my way back to the bathroom before stopping as I heard my dad call out for me. I went to where I heard it coming from and noticed it sounded like he was outside. So I began to make my way up to the front door before noticing something that stopped me dead in my tracks. There on the couch was my dad, who had a few empty beer bottles on the floor around him, but was very much asleep. And that's when I heard it again, my dad's voice calling out to my name. Yet it sounded off somehow. It sounded like someone had recorded my dad's voice and played it over a microphone. It just sounded so weird, and it was coming from right outside the front door. I slowly approached the front door before stopping, and I went to take a peek out the window. All I saw was pitch black, but I could see the faint outline of a figure standing at the door. At first I thought it was a man, but then I saw that this thing had horns, like some kind of a demon. I'm not sure how, but I swear this thing knew I was looking at it because as soon as I got a good look at it, it turned and stared at me with piercing red eyes before it said something that chilled me. Daniel, please let me in. At that point, I ran throughout the house, making sure every single window and door was locked tight. Surprisingly, no one heard a single thing. Needless to say, I did not get a wink of sleep at all that night. Easter came and went, although the whole family took time to spend together, and I felt, while we were spending the time together, that we were all being watched. As we left my grandma's house, I saw it again in the tree line. It stood about 7 foot tall. It was covered in messy black hair and was built like a man. I'm sure that if I could see its feet, it would have horns. The head reminded me of a goat and an aged homeless man. Before I could stare any longer, the creature retreated back into the forest. I haven't told my family about this encounter, but I'm just glad that I didn't have to, because if I would open the door that night, I'm sure everyone would know that it exists. But now I'm filled with concern because that thing is still out there, and what if it decides to go back to my grandma next time? If you live in the Ozarks in Missouri or plan to take a trip there, I warn you to be careful because I know this thing exists because I've seen it. Do you think my grandma is safe? I would say your grandma probably knows more about this than what you do. That's probably why she tells you all stories when you come down, is because she's aware of what's going on and probably knows how to protect herself. She probably has a routine at night, the same as my granny did. Lock the doors, close the windows, lock the windows, and pretty much leave it alone and let it do its thing. You know, a lot of the old-timers will tell you when you talk to them, they'll say, if you just leave it alone and mind your own business, most of the time it won't bother you. And I think a lot of them lived by that. Because a lot of them I know that lived down in the old town that I know that was very dark, very scary before it was flooded, they all had the same thing. If you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone. It's just curious, they'd say, or it's just watching you, or, it's just what they do. Sometimes they might throw a little stick at you or a little pebble or something like that, but they'd always say most of the time they're not going to hurt you. But a lot of the old-timers also had different stories. They would say that about the Bigfoot, but then they would turn right around in the same breath and say, but those other things will hurt you. So I think they know what they're dealing with, and they knew how to deal with it because they grew up around it. So I'd say your grandma's safe. She probably knows what she's doing. Thank you all for listening. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. Let me know in the comments. Do you think she knows what she's dealing with, and do you think she's been doing it for a while and she has it under control, or do you think she's in danger? Let me know what you all think. And again, guys, we'll see you on the next one.